So you may know that bitmap images, like JPEG photos, are made of pixels. You may also know that the more pixels an image has, the better it looks, generally speaking. I mean, we've all seen images that are blocky and ugly, and you should know that it's because there aren't enough pixels to show detail in that image. But what if you could forget about the pixels and the resolution and just create simple shapes, and then put the pixels in only when you need them? Well, you can. They're called vector images, and vector images establish points relative to one another in inches or millimeters on their artboard or canvas. Unlike bitmap images, there are no pixels defined until needed. The code for vector files simply fills in the defined path with pixels when needed, which means the edges and other details appear at the maximum resolution. This is different than bitmap images like JPEG or TIFF taken with a digital camera. Those types of images have pixels as a starting point, so you're locked to that pixel grid for those types of images. It just so happens that TVs, computer monitors, and even printers display using pixels as well. So this can be a problem because software and code must take already existing pixel grids and map each pixel to another grid for display or a printout. Sometimes issues arise in terms of detail, as one grid may not line up exactly with another. And if the display is called upon to show a larger image than the original, then you will see those artifacts such as blurring and pixelization. Vector images, on the other hand, take on the resolution of the output device, and as a result, vector images are some of the most useful graphics that can be easily defined by a computer. However, Illustrator is not the best layout tool. For combining bitmap and vector imagery seamlessly without issues with color, you should really use a professional layout tool like InDesign. InDesign links to both bitmap and vector image assets and can manage them in bulk without issues, so use graphics-aware programs like that whenever possible. Let's take a closer look at bitmap and vector image pixelization. As you can see, vector images remain smooth no matter what their size. As we zoom in, there are no apparent pixels. Let's copy this circle and paste it into Photoshop. Because this is a bitmap artboard, the circle immediately gets defined as pixels on that particular pixel grid. This time, when we zoom in, we see pixel artifacts. Let's take this circle back to Illustrator. When dragging this circle back into Illustrator, we can again zoom in, and we see a really good side-by-side comparison. Although the artwork was an identical circle, once we defined a pixel grid for the vector image, it became a bitmap image. That process, indeed, permanently stuck the circle on the pixel grid even when we brought it back into Illustrator. I hope it's clear that Illustrator cannot magically make bitmap images work like vector images. And again, to be clear, there is no program that can truly enlarge detailed bitmap images without introducing artifacts. So now that you have a clear idea of how vector images are different than bitmap images and how vector images can be useful for shapes, let's take a look at how Illustrator's basic tools can quickly have you using vector images effectively.